Okay, guys, video number 3. We are still working with long division, and today we're going to talk about partial quotients. Okay, so with partial quotients, you are taking your dividend, whatever your dividend is, and you are going to split it up to try and break it down into quotients that are more manageable. Okay. So we're going to take our original problem that we've been working with, and that is going to be 725. Okay. And we are going to make, I've heard this referred to as the big seven. I've also said that this looks like the thing in the game Hangman, where you draw the big thing and you put your little guy down here as you start losing body parts or whatever. So you can think of it however you want. I don't know exactly what you call that thing in Hangman, so I'm going to call it the big seven. Okay. So I'm going to divide my dividend of 725 by my divisor of 3. Okay. Now, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do what I showed you in the last video. We're going to go back to doing our easy breezy multiplication facts, okay? Because again, this is going to help me as I'm factoring down this problem. So, the first one that I'm going to do is I'm going to do my 3 times 2, okay? Because we know that's easy and we've already done this, so it shouldn't be that hard. 3 times 2 is 6. So I know that 3 times 20 is 60. And I know that 3 times 200 is going to be 600. Okay? And look how close 600 is to 725. All right, so we're going to go ahead and use that one. But I'm going to look at some of my other easy breezy multiplication facts to help me after I break down the first part, okay? So I did 3 times 2. Let's do something different this time. Let's do 3 times 4, okay? You should know that 3 times 4 is 12. So that means that 3 times 40, oops, almost forgot my zero. 3 times 40 is going to be 120, okay? 3 times 400, I know I'm going to add another zero, so that's going to put me in the thousands. So I don't think I'm going to do that. That's just getting a little too big there. Okay. All right. So let's see what we can use. Well, if I'm dividing 725 by 3, then I know that 600 is pretty close to 725. So I'm going to use 200 as my first factor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, and just to help me remember what I'm doing so that I can remember what this column stands for, this column is my partial quotients, or what I'm multiplying times 3 to get me as close as possible to 725. So I'm going to write that up there just to help me remember that, okay? So 200 times 3, so I'm going to put my 200 here. 200 times 3 is going to be 600. So I'm going to put that right there under my 725, and I'm going to subtract. 5 minus 0 is 5. 2 minus 0 is 2. 7 minus 6 is 1. 125. So I took my dividend. I said, okay, if I multiply 200 times 3, that's going to be 600. So I'm going to go ahead and put 200 in each of my groups of 3. So that's what I've done here with these partial quotients. I've said, okay, I have 3 groups. I'm going to put 200 in each group. So now I've used 600 out of my 725. So when I did that, I have 125 remaining. So now I still have to put this 125, this is my new dividend, into those 3 groups. So how many would I put in each group? Well, if I look back over here at my easy breezy multiplication facts, then I see that 3 times 40 equals 120. very close to 125. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to put 40 into each of my three groups. So 40 times 3 means that I'm going to use 120. Now I'm going to subtract that to see what I have left. 5 minus 0 is 0, or is 5. I apologize. 5 minus 0 is 5. And 12 minus 12 is 0. Okay? So I have 5 left. Well, 5 is still bigger than 3, so I'm not done. I have to continue dividing. Well, I know that 3 times 1 is what? Yes, it's 3. So I'm going to put one more in each of my groups of 3. 3 times 1 is 3. And when I subtract 5 minus 3, I have 2 left. Now, can I split 2 into my groups of 3 equally? No, I cannot. So this 2 is going to be my remainder of 2. Now, all of these right here, boys and girls, are your partial quotients. So you're going to have to add them together, and whatever they equal is your total quotient. So 200 plus 400 plus 100 would be 241 with a remainder of 2. So again, let's check ourselves because we always check our answer when we're done. So I'm going to have 241 times 3. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 4 is 12. So I have a 2 in the tens place. I'm going to take my 100 over. 3 times 200 is 600. Plus 100 is 723. And then remember, I had a remainder of 2, so I have to add that remainder back. So 725 is my product. 725 was my dividend. So my answer is correct. All right, so just another method for how you can do long division. Let's do one more together, and then you can try one on your own. Okay? So let's do 800. I'm going to have the division problem. 813, and I want to divide that by 4. Okay? 813 divided by 4. So let's set this up. I'm going to put my 813 inside my super 7. Okay? And 4 is going on the outside as my divisor. Now, over here, under my easy breezy multiplication facts, I'm going to list some facts of 4. Okay? So let's start with 4 times 2. Okay? 4 times 2 is 8. Easy enough. So 4 times 20 would be 80. And 4 times, oh wow, this one was easy. 4 times 200 is 800. Okay, didn't mean to give you one this easy. So already I'm very close to my dividend. So I'm going to go ahead and use my 200. Okay, so remember over here I'm just putting times 4 to help me remember what these are. So I have 813 that I'm basically splitting into 4 groups. Okay, if I put 200 in each of my 4 groups, and put my 200 out here, 200 times 4, well, that's 800. I got really close on my first try. So 813 minus 800, I have 13 left. Wow, that was pretty good. Okay. So then now I've got to divide 13 by 4. All right, well, if I look at my easy breezy facts, I know that 4 times 2 is 8. But just on the top of my head, I do know that 4 times 3 is 12, and that's closer to 13. So I'm going to use the factor of 3, okay? So if I put 3 in each of these 4 groups, 4 times 3 is 12. And when I subtract 13 minus 12, I get 1. Well, I cannot put 1 into 4 groups equally, so 1 is my remainder. I have a remainder of 1. And when I add 200 plus 3, that equals, I should draw my line there, I apologize. That equals 203 with a remainder of 1. All right, so let's check ourselves. 800, oops, what am I doing? That's not how I do that. How do I check myself? I take my partial, or I take my quotient, which is 203, and I multiply that times my 4, and my goal is that it's going to equal 813. So 4 times 3 is 12. I'm bringing my 110 over. 4 times 0 is 0 plus 110, so I have 110 there. And then 4 times 200 is 800. I have to remember to add my remainder. So 812 plus 1 is 813. So my product equals my dividend. So I know I did my answer correctly. All right. So now I want you to take a minute and I want you to try and do one independently for me and see how you do with it. Okay. Try and give you one that's not too awfully hard, but certainly not as easy as that last one we just did. So let's try and do 629, and you want to divide that by 2. Okay, 629 divided by 2. And I'll help you get started. Remember, you're going to put your device or your dividend inside your Super 7, and you're going to put your divisor on the outside. This is what you're going to multiply times your divisor. And you need to make sure you do your easy breezy multiplication facts to help you get your partial quotient. Okay, so go ahead and do this one on your own and bring it to me to let me check it.